Yeah, we're gonna talk about windows in video games. Look up there. Just another lit up window in Night City, giving the appearance of life behind the walls of these massive buildings, right? Let's get closer. The person we are looking at right now through this window is dead. That is Night City's former mayor, Lucius Rhine, recently assassinated. We'll get back to that. Windows in video games. Windows on buildings you can't enter. Windows you can't look out of, only into. And when you do look into these, they're eerie, uncanny, almost dreamlike. Look at this mega building from down below, H11, supposedly home to thousands of people. We can see some lights poking out of the side of it. Night City is all about illumination, especially at night. But is there more to it than that? Let's fly up there and take a peek. I'm sure the tenants won't mind. These are the living quarters of your average Night City denizen. They have a microwave and a coffee pot set up in the corner. No stove, no sink, barely any separation between parts of the room. We all know about this city's trash overflow issue, but seeing it represented inside someone's apartment takes that to a whole other level. Inescapable filth. It's not just the same room copy and pasted over and over though. Let's go check out their neighbor. This guy's lucky enough to have a couch, a recliner, and a dresser, but he gave up the bed, the kitchen, and the trash can. We can even see the enormous brain dance rig hanging from the ceiling, which is also present in V's mega building apartment. This one's a bit cleaner and has some color to it to make it pop, but notice how things just seem a little off, distorted even. There's a faint dread we can see being expressed through these windows. It's not immediate panic and chaos or destruction. It's not an apocalyptic setting. It's just melancholy. Here's another one. This guy's got a bed, a projector, a desk, and a rug. What the hell is going on with that rug? Look at the fold in it. You could trip an elephant with that thing. That's not even the strangest part. What is going on with the monitor in this room? It looks like it's being sucked into cyberspace along with the desk. It gets stranger. Let's get to work. Offices. Tiny rooms crammed with desks and not even a semblance of privacy. Buildings in Night City get pretty wild. These megastructures are tall and wide, sure, but sometimes they even have angled surfaces. Some of them face down, some of them face up. Look at what that does to the offices. They're all angled the same way as the building. Imagine trying to run uphill your entire shift. I have nightmares that kind of look like this. Forget working at an angle, sometimes you just have to work upside down. These rooms are detailed enough to suggest that somebody lives here, but strange enough to feel more like dioramas than actual apartments or offices. They sell the idea of human life without ever quite becoming believable living spaces. All of this chaos going way up here, but why? Yeah, light emits out from the windows, but the vast majority of those windows are well beyond your view. You'd never see most of these. We don't have access to AVs or flying cars. Let's go through some simple questions that dig into the complexity of Night City's window environments. Do the interiors displayed behind the windows actually match the kind of building they are on? Largely, yes. There are exceptions to the rule though. Mega buildings and apartment buildings display these compact apartment units we've been looking at. Distorted, strange, eerie looking, like I said, but they match. If we want to get more specific though, the apartments near the bottom of mega buildings are meant to be tiny and crammed like the ones we see. Near the middle, we should see them getting a bit more spacious, and at the top, they're luxury suites. The only change the wealthy tenants near the top seem to get are rooms being flipped upside down. I don't know why this keeps happening, but it's not the last time we're going to see it. Night City is a lot. Lights, windows, information everywhere. Finding a doctor can feel like that too. Overwhelming for no good reason. That's why today's video is sponsored by ZocDoc. I'm sure a lot of you are like me. Health issue pops up, something's not clicking right, maybe it's clicking a little too much, and you think I'll just not do anything about that. Not a great idea. It's easy to get caught up in routines, things we do on a daily or weekly basis. We can take care of that, but anything outside of that scope can be more difficult to keep up with, like going to the doctor. I immediately start to think, okay, who am I supposed to call? Am I calling the right doctor? Will they take my insurance? And are they actually going to listen to my issue, or are they just going to try and get me in and out of the door as quick as possible? That's a big reason we put this kind of stuff off. It's not necessarily the appointment itself, but just the process around it. ZocDoc is a free website where you can search and compare in-network doctors and filter by who's close to you, who takes your insurance, and who actually has appointments available. They have over 150,000 providers across all 50 states, covering everything from primary care to dentistry, dermatology, eye care, and more. You can book your appointment to be in person or do a video visit, all online, no phone calls required. Appointments made through ZocDoc are fast, typically 24 to 72 hours, sometimes the very same day. I'm sure my wife will appreciate me using ZocDoc to finally book my long overdue primary care checkup. Probably a dentist appointment too. So if you've been putting off appointments like me, go ahead and follow my link in the pinned comment or the description at ZocDoc.com/NVRanger to make your appointment. Thank you to ZocDoc for sponsoring the video. I appreciate it. Now, back to the windows. Office buildings, including many of the towers in and around the city center area, are filled with offices containing computers and wires. They seem endless at times, and there's a variety of these kinds of rooms. In these buildings, you can find elevator waiting areas as well, but they don't exactly line up vertically in a way that makes sense. They're still added to the mix of what the corporate workplaces have to offer. Even a spot like Konpeki Plaza, a luxury hotel, shows us interiors that seem to be hallways outside of the rooms. But notice something important here as we've looked through these. Nobody ever places anything against the window. No desk faces the skyline, no table or chair is set up to enjoy the view. Everything is pushed to the side walls or to the back of the room. These spaces are not arranged for the people inside them, they're arranged for us on the outside looking in. What do the windows of freestanding homes display though? Those in Rancho Coronado have those same apartment unit interiors. What's even more odd is that these homes will use those interiors even when they have their own unique and accessible interiors, and it will display them on both sides of the walls, giving you a look into some alternate weird dimension. How about the ultra-elite luxury mansions of North Oak? Do they have the same window displays? No. They have mansions that display their own unique interiors. We can actually enter the Arasaka and Eurodyne mansions, their settings for specific quests. The most interesting one is Denny's mansion. We never enter hers, you're actually not even able to normally, but it does have large windows displaying a unique interior. If we clip through, we can explore this space, which seems to have been made entirely because of those windows. I say that because the majority of the first floor can't be looked into, so they didn't really create an interior for it at all. Is there a difference between the window interiors and the different districts or corporate buildings they exist within? Well, North Oak is clearly unique, but more generally, no. North Oak is the exception to the rule. Most districts make use of the same interiors. If we look at the megacorp buildings in city center like Kangtao, Militech, and Arasaka, we will see the same office interiors. What's strange isn't what interiors are being used, but how the interiors are being used. I said we'd see this again, and here we are. Arasaka Tower has very few windows, but every single window it does use lets you see into an entirely upside-down room. Yeah, every room in Arasaka Tower that we can see from the outside is upside down. Aside from the CEO level at the top, of course, perks of being the boss, I guess. And while Arasaka is living in the upside down, Militech has an equally, if not more strange illusion taking place on its building. Or perhaps it's just displaying the illusion to us more clearly. Focus here near the portion of the building with the red text passing across it. Just below that, we have some seemingly normal-sized windows, but behind where the red text passes are really tiny windows. Thing is, if we get close enough to the windows, they don't appear small anymore. All of a sudden, they look just like any other interior display. There's some sort of forced perspective trick being used on these windows. We can only get so close to most of these windows because once you get beyond a certain point and try and go into these interiors, you clip through the building and the illusion entirely breaks down. Getting to that point, that closeness right before you clip through the window and break the illusion, the interiors appear to be about the same size, even though from a distance they look way smaller than others. And from a distance, we lose the detail, but we gain the visual of window lights turning on and off regularly to simulate the change and the flow of life in Night City. Next question, the big one. Can you ever see people inside? All right, think back to the beginning again. We were zooming in on the Night City City Hall. Let's just call that Night City Hall. Again, on the top floor here, when we get a bit closer, we can see a man in the window. What's going on here? We never see people in the windows of Night City. Almost never. Remember, I told you this guy was dead. He is. This is the former mayor of Night City, Lucius Rhine, assassinated in cold blood at the Red Queen's race, a club he frequented. If we clip through this window, this time we can actually enter an interior. There's a strange scene going on up here. We have this deranged looking fella in blue. He's also supposed to be dead. That's the mayor's would-be assassin, Peter Horvath. As if the windows themselves weren't creepy enough, now we have a couple of dead guys behind them. Peter gets killed before making it to Rhine though. This isn't where the mayor dies. But Rhine lives on, trapped in this moment with Peter. Both of them dead, but stuck in some strange purgatory. Exploring this detailed area a bit more, we can even find the current acting mayor of Night City, Weldon Holt, awkwardly standing in a room staring at a wall with a bodyguard nearby, hopefully protecting him from the ghosts in the other room. Now, some of you may have caught on by this point. This whole setup, everything going on in this scene, is a part of a braindance sequence for the I Fought the Law questline. The braindance appears to actually take place within a persistent location in the game world. We just don't have access to it normally. There is no way within the base game for you to get up here outside of that braindance. Small side note, but kind of interesting, the central portions of the city hall seem to contain offices while these pillars on either side contain living quarters. Not sure how intentional this is, but it could point to the blending of work and home, where employees are often trapped within the workplace. This would not be a novel concept to the world of Cyberpunk. The Militech building actually has a similar design feature that backs up the intentionality of this. If we look at the right side of the building, this sort of visually distinct section is full of living quarters, presumably for the employees. You can see there was actually some thought put into what kind of window interiors are put on what parts of certain buildings. Now, I'm not seeing this a lot. All of the other corporate buildings don't seem to have something like this, but there's a lot of buildings and even more windows in Night City, so there could be more out there. I know I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but again, no player can see this. It just shows the attention to detail, the sort of love and care and passion that was put into this game, because you can tell, I'm assuming here, a developer was sitting here, or a designer was looking at this building thinking like, okay, people live in a sort of cyberpunk corporate hell where they live on this side of the building and then they'd walk over to work on the other side of the building. That's totally not what I've been tricked into working from home. Here's another creepy little set of windows well beyond the borders of the map this time. We can see a bit into these as well. No people this time, but they let us into a strange, dimmed out school cafeteria with more strange, long, dark hallways. This is also an area used for a brain dance. Again, we have no casual access to this location. And while we're out here, there's another spot with some windows that peek into a medical facility. Normally, you can only look out of these windows, which hides the fact that you're not in much of a building at all. This whole area is a carefully crafted set piece that restricts your view from its incomplete state. With some exceptions, to find a window that leads to somewhere, you have to go beyond the playable areas of the game. Here's another question. What about the interiors we can actually explore that have windows to the outside? All of V's apartments fit into this category. Can we look into V's apartments from the outside? Of course, the answer isn't a simple yes or no. Looking out from V's first apartment in Little China's mega building H10, we can even see their potential future mansion from the view. But when we pop outside and turn around, just a generic window, another facade. We can't actually see into the apartment from the outside. The same is true of the Glen and Corpo apartments, but it's not true of the Japantown apartment. You can see into that one from the outside. It's so strange that we can see into one but not the others. For the 4 people wondering, the Northside motel room apartment is just tinted out. Let's look at one more place. The Ocean Towers. We've talked about these guys before. Do they even have windows? Of course they do, for some reason. When we look at them, we can see their interiors are incredibly distorted and hard to make out. Luckily, there are windows on the back of the towers, and they're a lot easier to see into. It's the same interior type we saw for parts of Konpeki Plaza, a hallway with a door leading into a hotel room. Why are there hotel rooms out on these ocean towers? Not to mention, they're tucked away on the back of the towers where no one would ever see them. I'll leave that for you guys to speculate on. I know it's mundane, a weird aspect of the game to even bother thinking about on one hand, but the truth is there are so many of these windows. They fill the entire world space. There are probably more windows in the city than blades of grass, which isn't saying much, but you get the point. They dominate the visual scope of the world from afar, but their actual contents are so easily missed. It's an odd idea. Windows in video games for buildings you cannot enter. The buildings themselves take up so much of the world space, and you can't use the vast majority of what they take. All you can do is look at them. Those buildings are covered in these windows, meaning windows you're not meant to look out of, only into. On the rare occasion we do see one, they're meant to convince us that there's something going on inside, but it's nothing worth stopping to inspect. Well, we did it anyway. Okay, good. I'm good with it. Fuck it.